You remember how to do this?
Nope.
That's not what you're supposed to say.
Welcome to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast, where we cover anything related to behavior change that will increase your long-term wellness and happiness. And now, here are your hosts, personal trainer and RNs, Matt and Jenna Lane.
Welcome back. What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Matt.
And I'm Jenna.
And we host this here podcast, the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. Holy hell. Where the hell have we been? It has been 3 months since Jenna and I have done an interview-style podcast, which is how this started out. My name is Matt. If you're new to the podcast, I'm a personal trainer and a registered nurse. I specialize in behavior change, focus on that mental fitness. And this podcast is all about implementing behavior change for your long-term wellness and happiness. Jenna is also a registered nurse. We started this podcast back in when?
August of 19.
Yep. And we were going strong, like hardcore, and then we hit this point where it feels like we did not lose steam. We needed to regroup. And I wanted this podcast to be very intentional of just explaining what that's looked like, what it's felt like, where it's been. It's not an apology at all. It's, I guess, just sort of shedding light on it, because we live this life of fitness and, Matt Lane Fitness, the brand and all that. And it's so the point of why I started this podcast, why I started this company, why we do what we do, and we are as transparent as we are. I want to always be transparent and show what we struggle with, what we go through, because everybody goes through very similar things when it comes to their journey. Jenna, how you feeling?
Great. Glad to be here.
Is that it? Is that it?
Yep.
Do you remember how to do this legitimately?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And we're forgetting our gratitude point.
I was not there yet, but I guess we can be. It's time for the gratitude point. If you're new to this podcast, a gratitude point is something that you think of off the top of your head right now, something that you're grateful for. The point of it is to shift your perspective. Shift the perspective. That way, when you're having a down day, when COVID's kicking the world's ass, it's going to be okay because you're able to have that perspective shift. You want to go first?
Yeah. So, of course, we're still right in the trenches of the pandemic. Thank you, COVID. And, we're in the middle of the holidays, and that's been something that I think we've all been looking forward to as a bright spot in our day, is being able to, celebrate Christmas however differently that may look this year. And our plan for Christmas was to just celebrate with just, my best friend, her husband, and our goddaughter. So it would just be the five of us. And unfortunately, my best friend's husband was just diagnosed with COVID. And of course, my immediate thought was just, this year sucks. And, why did it have to happen for my Christmas? Because I had all this planned out for Emma, and I was so excited about her gifts. And yesterday we had our little modified Christmas in their driveway with masks on and, 10 feet apart. And so we were just not really participants in her Christmas. We were just observers. Yeah. And even though it was different and it wasn't ideal, we still got to see them and, spend time together, luckily it was good weather, so we were able to do it that way. Yeah. But a lot of things look different now and will probably look different for a long time because of the pandemic. But I'm grateful that we all still have our health, that Stevie's doing better, that Emma and Melissa are healthy, and the baby's healthy. My best friend's pregnant, and we're just trudging through this. Yeah.
I as you were talking about that, I was just thinking and grabbing my gratitude point, and I'm grateful for longevity in our relationship. I remember when we first got together and how we went through a lot of ups and downs, like a lot of relationships do, but it truly feels like such longevity that we have the ability, like we've built such longevity possibilities, if that makes sense. Like your ability to sort of absorb whatever bullshit's in my head or whatever bad mood I'm in or whatever, like your ability to absorb that and just roll with it makes it so much lighter for me. You know, like, so earlier today, I was literally getting out of the shower. I didn't feel great. You had been working on the house all morning. I had been helping, but not in the fashion that you would like. So we were both a little perturbed with each other, but nothing like crazy. And then you're like, hey, Matt, something's in the oven. We're like, what do you want to do with that? And I'm sprinting out like naked with barely a towel on, and my stomach's hurting. And I just walk in and I look at you with just absolute, I want to kill you. You're like, you might want to look at that in the oven. And I took what was out of the in the oven, took it out, put it on the counter, and then just walked away. But in that moment, I was just so bothered by that moment, and it was mainly because my stomach was hurting. But you just rolled with it. You're just like, okay, you know, like he's okay, being a little bitch for the moment. That's fine. And that was it. That was the end of it. And you have that ability to do that in every situation with us. And it's, I really believe that creates longevity when you learn how to work with one another. And I've said that before, but the word longevity comes to it. So I appreciate that about you and us.
Yeah. I could have guessed and messed it up. Instead, I just hollered at you. That seemed
what to
safer.
Do. What to do with what was in the oven. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so Jen and I have been talking about it, like getting back into this podcast, and I said that I wanted the first podcast to be whatever rolled off the tip of our tongue. I don't even know what the title's going to be. You know, in my head, it might be something like "Where the hell have we been?" Something like that. But I want to sort of talk about like where have we been, and I don't mean just physically. Like where have we been when it comes to this podcast? And you know, we've made adjustment. I've made very intentional adjustments in the scheduling of creating content with others and creating content around us and the business and all that. Like, where are you, Jenna?
Well, I think to kind of explain, I think it was maybe midsummer we started having some of these conversations, or maybe late summer, some of these conversations of like, we're not spending time together. Yeah. There's a disconnect. Even in the, you know, My Friend Watches group, like it was just all business and we weren't really like,
there was no friendship. There was no connection.
And you guys were losing being creators. You were just robotically
collaborating
content, which I think was not, it didn't have the longevity.
Yeah, right, exactly.
To use your word. And I think I felt it a lot in a different sense, because even though I'm involved in a lot of the content one way or the other, I'm not really a creator. So I wasn't, it's a different experience for me.
Yeah.
And it's a different, I don't know, it's just a totally different experience. And so when you guys maybe are feeling, you know, I think we all have those days at work, which is what that is. It's fun for all of us to have those experiences, but it is work too, right? Like this is your, either your
side hustle or main job,
or your main job. And, it's just a different experience. So I kind of felt like I was losing myself, or like my limited time of like just alone time. You know, I'm tend to be on the introvert side of things.
Yeah.
And, I need that like reset and regroup time. And I just wasn't having it. And it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying what we were doing. It was just maybe too much of it, or I just didn't have that time to myself.
I think that's it. Like we were enjoying what we were doing, but because we didn't have that independent time, you know, couple time, it made everything feel like it was just such on a time restraint. And, you know, like, so to sort of paint out what our actual schedule looked like, it was Monday through Friday. We would go to work 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And in between there, I would work with clients at night. I would create content. I would shoot. I would edit. I would communicate with my editor. I would catch up on emails. I would talk to the crew about what we were doing that following week. It does not sound like that much, but all the little intricate details with all the different social media platforms, with the podcast, I still ran the podcast. I still got content out, even though they weren't interviews. 2 videos a week plus a live every Sunday. Dealing with the internet issues, like the car, got the car in the wreck and all that. And like, again, I'm not complaining, but it goes to show you what it looked like. So every single Saturday and Sunday, those are our only 2 days off. Saturday was balls to the wall, cleaning the house and being human and just doing those things, which was sun up to sundown pretty much. And then Sunday rolls around, 9 a.m. all the way to 7 p.m. We're creating content for My Friend Watches and with the crew. And like, I had to fit everything around those 7 days, and there was not enough time. I felt the quality starting to slip just a little bit. The relationship started to slip, and then you brought it. I think you sort of brought it up, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back, where I was sort of like, that's it. Like, there's got to be a change. So now it's every other Sunday. This is one of our quote-unquote off Sundays. We're still creating content, but it's much more togetherness and downtime. And I've talked about it in the past that there's been some days that I don't get a billion things done, and I know that those days are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I don't want them to be, I know that they're 100% necessary. And I have absolutely seen a shift in me, in my like anxiety and all that, because my anxiety was like sky high. Mm-hmm. My anxiety, and I felt like all I talked about was like, I just don't have time. I just don't have time. That's all I said. I got sick of hearing myself saying it, and like, I know that if I'm getting sick of me, everyone around me has to be getting sick of me. So I told the crew, let's kick this back a little bit. I have to make time. I have to make sure that my priorities are where they should be. And I've seen you come out of the hole that you were in. I mean, my sleeping is now a little better. Like, everything has improved because we've just taken that quality time. Now every single Monday, or at least once a week, we're doing something for dinner, unless you just say like, I'm really not feeling good, like we did this previous week. Like, all of that intentional time is happening, and it's not shocking, but it's impressive to see how quickly it turned things around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't even know what I was going to say, if it's even relating to what we're talking about, but I think
good thing is you can talk about whatever you want. This really doesn't have a major topic.
Yeah, true.
Because it's like a first one back. So go ahead.
I've struggled all of my adult life with my mental health. And, I really felt that slipping. I had kind of been in a bad spot because of work, and then I kind of started headed back the right direction, and then, we just got so busy, and, I've had to learn.
What had started heading back in the right direction? What does that look like? Explain.
I mean, just trying to claw my way back to the surface with, not eating super processed foods and staying away from sugar and not drinking so much caffeine. Like, I know all of my coping mechanisms. Like, sugar is one of my first. Like, normally I can say no to a donut or a cookie or whatever, because I know, that's a headache trigger for me. So there's a very direct physical correlation when I, eat something sugary. But are
you talking about like when you were actually working out hardcore and stuff like that? Is that what you mean?
No, like this spring, like when we changed jobs, and I felt like that was a big weight lifted off of my shoulders, and I started, just being mildly active again. Yeah. And then I just kind of felt myself slipping back again, and it was time for a hard reset. And I'm certainly not where I'd like to be mentally or physically currently, but I'm headed in the right direction again, and that's the most important piece.
I think that you're not only in the right direction, I think you've made some actual steps in progress. Like, I can feel it. Yeah. I can see it.
Yeah. I mean,
we are our own worst critics, but
yeah, I agree. And, one of the people that I really look up to most is in the mental health realm is Brene Brown. And I know I've mentioned her several times before, but some things really ring true sometimes as what she said as far as us struggling to actually enjoy joy.
Yeah.
And I know that when I was working out every day and very disciplined and really driven, there was always that voice in the back of my head of like, don't get too fit or don't lose too much weight, because you're going to have to answer for that once you lose track and gain all this weight back.
What?
Yeah, I mean, that's just...
Wow.
That's, that's always going to be a voice. And I think you need to be aware of it and not ignore that voice, but, face it head on.
Let me think about that for just a split second. So I'm trying to relate to that. I'm trying to understand that, because I'm trying to think if there's anything like that I've experienced, of there's a voice in the back of my head saying you're basically going to drop the ball on this, you're going to screw this up. Maybe it hasn't been with my physical journey, my fitness journey. Maybe it hasn't been, but maybe it's been the confidence. So maybe it's been the confidence for me. I'm saying this to translate for somebody that might not have ever felt what you felt. So I guess I can relate to that a little more than I thought. Yeah. So why don't you hit on that point that you talked about with depression and what it looks like?
Well, and I've thought of some other things too, of just my mental state or things that I've realized that I've convinced myself of that really aren't true when I think about it. I know earlier this year I had talked to you a couple of times about how I wasn't going to wear makeup in the videos, and it was because I wanted to be myself. Yeah. And while a piece of that I think was true, I was really struggling with my mental health then, and I think looking back on it, it was too much of a task for me to think about putting makeup on. Wow. It was too much of a task. And the other side of that is I didn't think that it was worth me trying to make myself look better. I didn't think that I was worth that effort of trying to just, cover myself up.
That puts such a different twist on when you verbalized why you weren't putting the makeup on. I was very excited for you. I was like, oh my God, that's badass. I don't give a damn what people think. That for you, I thought that was such a strong point for you, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was
And I think there's two sides to that.
I think there was two sides to it? Okay.
Yeah, I think that, one, there is a bit of strength as far as in all of my 20s, I would never leave the house without makeup on, and which is silly to think about because it would be a very minimal amount of powder and a little bit of Maybelline mascara. It wasn't any sort of wow.
Yeah.
Her makeup looks great.
She's going to the prom.
Yeah, it just, and I'm glad to say now in the second half of my 30s that I'll still go to the store with no makeup on, and that is not an act of I'm not worth it. It's just an act of
fuck it.
I don't care what you think.
Yeah, fuck it. Exactly. That's how it should be.
I have dark circles under my eyes, and so do you, judgy lady over there at the grocery store.
Judgy lady.
So, that part, yes, I'm very proud of myself to have gotten to that point in my life. I don't think I've let myself go to, and that's why I don't feel like I need to wear makeup on all the time. But I think specifically in that instance, it was me saying, it doesn't matter. You're not going to look better. Why even waste your time?
Damn.
That's too much effort. That was more prevailing thought than I'm so confident I don't need to wear makeup.
Damn.
But I think conversely, because I've kind of wrestled with that, what does that say now that I've been wearing some makeup? And I think it's just an opportunity to overthink it.
That's okay. Could be. So while we're still on this subject, paint the picture. Paint the picture that you painted me that night when we were in bed. What the hell is it with 10:30 at night, 10:45 at night?
I don't know.
Shit always happens that, like, we'll be going to bed, and it's always when I'm exhausted, which is rarely that I'm exhausted when I'm in bed. So what'll happen is Jenna and I will be getting into bed and whatnot, and then, like I just explained, that's the time that it always pops up. But out of nowhere, she's like a philosopher. Or she's talking, like, her brain just races like mine does on a daily basis. But this was another one of those times where it was just, you just kept rolling, and fuck it, you just kept talking. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But I say that not as a bad way. What you explained made me wake the hell up. My eyes were wide open. When you were done explaining what you were explaining. So if you can remember that, try to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know that I can fully take credit for that. I don't know if it's something that I've read before and it's come back to my mind, or if it's just an elaboration of something else that I've read or heard or whatever. But I was thinking the other day to try to explain to someone who doesn't deal with clinical depression,
which would be myself.
Yeah, like, I feel like if you haven't experienced it, you don't know. And, I've struggled for a long time with the acknowledgement of having depression, because I feel like society thinks of depression of, you're depressed when something bad has happened to you, or you're depressed because you have a bad life. And although sometimes those do go hand in hand, depression affects anybody. It's not selective. It doesn't just affect people who are unfortunate, in whatever kind of way. Like, you can be leading a fantastic life and still have depression. It has nothing to do with your partner or the house you live in or how much money you make or your career. It just is what it is. And I've always thought of being underwater has always been my, like, mental picture of when you're depressed, you're underwater, but then there's a hard line, right? Of, like, you're either above the water and breathing, or you're under the water and you can't breathe. And no matter how far down in the water you are, you still can't breathe. So to me, that's never been the right picture of depression. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was getting ready the other day and I was trying to think, like, what is something that I could paint a picture of with depression. And that's when I came up with the well idea. So let me just try to
that's cool.
Verbalize it back the way I did the other night, and help me if I miss any points.
You need a second to chew on it and figure it out?
No. Okay. So this is my idea, and it's my idea. It's not a professional opinion. It's not, it's whatever. You can disagree with me, but this is my own personal idea of what depression is. It's falling down a well 100 feet deep, let's say. You're so far down in the well when you're in the pit of your depression, that speck of light, the top of the well, is so far away you forget what the light looks like, and you get comfortable at the bottom of the well, sitting where you're sitting, and you become just complacent with it. You're so far away, you don't even try. You're never going to get out of the well, right? So then something may happen to make you realize, I miss who I used to be. I miss what used to go on in my life or whatever. And you're like, okay, what's the first thing that can really propel me up the well? Well, that's usually, taking an antidepressant, which is perfectly fine. And that antidepressant is the rope that gets thrown down in the well, and it propels you like halfway up, like 50 feet up, right? So that gets you halfway there.
And 50 feet is all it's going to take you?
Yeah, I think just for my mental example, right? So that
got it.
That's halfway. All you've had to do is start taking a pill every day, and it's propelled you halfway, right? I mean, that's 50% more than you were before.
And you mean that simply because the chemicals in your body are elevating and all that?
Yeah. And I think it's a fantastic way to get that 50 feet. Because without it, that would be nearly impossible, if not completely impossible,
Yeah.
you know? And I think this is, because I also never understood why antidepressant commercials said one of the side effects is suicidal ideations or suicide. And I, never really understood that until I've been through this myself, is that you get suddenly propelled halfway there.
Quickly.
Yeah. And now you can see what you've been missing a little bit better. You see the light at the top of the well, and you realize, well, I got halfway, but now I'm going to have to do the rest of the half myself.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. And I sat at the bottom of the well for a long time. Now I see the light better. I see what I've been missing. I see what everyone else is doing. And there's no way I'm going to be able to get the rest of the 50 feet on my own. I'm not going to be able to get all the way out on my own. And you realize...
You feel even more exhausted then, because you're
Yeah.
like, shit, even
Yeah.
the medications can't get me there.
Yeah, it can't get you all the way.
So it applies more pressure.
Yeah. And you realize, the higher up you get, the harder you're going to have to hold on. The more you're going to have to change, the more you're going to have to give up as far as numbing, as far as coping mechanisms. And it's going to be harder, and you're going to have to hold on harder. And I think when you realize that if you struggle with depression, if you struggle with a chemical imbalance, you're always going to have to hold on. You're not, and I know this might sound really depressing, but you're never going to get out of the well. And I think once you realize that you're either going to have to hold on for dear life at 50 feet down, or you're going to have to hold on for dear life right at the top of the well, it's better to live at the top, right? It's just getting from one place to another is really difficult.
Yeah.
And when you slip, sometimes you realize it's easier to just slip, and then you slide all the way back down. And I don't know that that's in my mind. I can completely see this person hanging 50 feet in the air and thinking about how hard it's going to be to climb up that last 50 feet. And I hope you guys can see it too. I don't know that I explain stories as well as the best storyteller. But
No, I think that when you sit there and try to picture that well, it makes total sense. And this goes very hand in hand with what I've been experiencing lately, and sort of a new conclusion that I've come to with happiness, and how I've talked about it many times. And we had a specific episode on this podcast, I'm pretty sure, where we talked about peaks and valleys. Mm-hmm. Talked about how your fitness journey, your wellness journey, your mental health journey, your mental fitness journey, any success you've ever had in life, if you became a musician, an artist, a vet, a doc, went to school, whatever success that you've ever had has never been a linear path. It's never been just straight up, all right, we're just traveling, we're just going straight up. It's never been that way. On that road, you have had peaks of, holy shit, look what I did great, to crap, I failed the test real bad. Oh crap, I fumbled the ball, whatever. And then it goes back up and back up and back up and down and down and down. And it's just, that's how it's supposed to be. That is truly how it's supposed to be. That is logical. The point is this: you have your peaks and valleys, yes. Are they going on an upward trajectory as a whole? Is an average trajectory going up? That's the point. That's better than yesterday every day. It's not perfect. It never should be. Being perfect sucks. I never want to be perfect. I'll never be perfect. I'll never fake to be perfect. Fuck perfect. Mm-hmm. And happiness is the same damn thing. Mm-hmm. Like my fitness journey this past year, I got hurt, which sucked because I was getting really strong, man. And it sucked. I'd never had a significant injury when it came to training, and it hindered me. And I was like, shit, what do I do? So I had to focus on other shit. I couldn't just tap out and be like, that's it, it's over. I took 2 weeks and I didn't work out at all, and I hated it. I was miserable. I fucking hated it. And now I'm doing fantastic. I'm waking up stupid early in the morning. I'm very motivated. I'm driven. I'm creative as hell. I say all this to say that peaks and valleys are in everything that you can do, and everything that you do. And what you said was, when you have this level of acceptance, of understanding you do have depression, it is a chemical imbalance. It runs in your family. It's hereditary, whatever. If you can accept that instead of fighting it, it brings you to a different level. And honestly, it's a perfect way to cope with it. If you try to ignore it and you're like, nope, that's not me. Nope, that's not me. That is not logical. It truly shows you how to, that's truly handling it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and I think for the longest time, I really was looking for the fix.
There you go.
And
the destination.
Yeah. And it's not, mental health is a journey, just like life is a journey. And there isn't.
Wait, did you say mental health is not a journey?
Mental health is a journey.
Gotcha.
And just like everything else is a journey, you're not looking for a destination. You just got to enjoy it along the way. And once I realized that I wasn't just in a funk, like I wasn't just in a depression, I have depression. I think there's a difference there. That this is something I'm going to have to continue to fight. And I think when I realized that, it made a big difference as far as me looking for a destination versus me making a long-term plan.
So let me ask you, and I'm not saying you're right or wrong because I don't struggle with clinical depression, but is it a fight? Is it legitimately a fight?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I fight that voice in my head constantly, all day, every day. The voice of, it might be something as little as, I don't want to take the stairs up to, I work on the 4th floor, like take the stairs every morning. I don't want to take the stairs because it was raining out today. Like that one has no correlation with the other.
Yes, very true.
But, that's my justification. And that grows from there. I know I've used the stairs analogy many, many times, but
I'm going to get the dogs out. Keep talking.
Okay.
Keep talking.
But it's that voice. Can you still hear me though? That I have to overcome all day, every day. And the struggle is that you don't have a reprieve from that voice. It's not like I'm frustrated with you. I leave and go for a drive and get a reprieve from the voice. Like that self-doubt, that self-pity, that self-whatever is always there. I don't get a break from it. Okay.
All right. Okay. I mean, again, I'm not saying you're right or wrong. Knowing that it's a fight is tough. I've often said that, the words you use are very important. I think the intention behind it is even more important, but, knowing that it's a fight for you gives me a little bit more of a perspective and understanding, that's why you're maybe a little more tired than I would be if we did the same exact thing all day long. Maybe it's more of a mental battle, literal battle.
Yeah.
Literal battle.
Well, and that's what, and I've mentioned this before, but when I was, just starting in nursing, I thought it was so weird that people would have everybody, if you had a history of anxiety, you had a history of depression. Like those go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And in my mind, anxiety was you do things quickly and anxiously, and then depression is you do things slowly and you're, sit on the couch. And I'm like, how can you have anxiety and depression? And realizing that your anxiety makes you have depression, or your depression makes you have anxiety. They really do go hand in hand. And then realizing that I actually was struggling with that and didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
They really do go hand in hand. You can be anxious about being too depressed to do anything about your anxiety, or vice versa. And that's a snowball effect for sure. But the more, I feel like the stronger you get with, or the stronger I get with ignoring that voice or doing the opposite of what that voice says, that self-doubt, that, whatever it is type of voice, the better I get at ignoring it more, and the weaker that voice gets.
Okay. I like that. So, we're on the topic of sort of dealing with things and whatnot, and I want to highlight my sleep, because 3 months ago when our last one, I didn't have any issues sleeping, but I think I legitimately developed insomnia. Like, would you seriously think I had insomnia?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I could not sleep for shit for probably the past 3 weeks, maybe a month. Was it longer than that, you think, maybe?
You struggle anyway, but the past month or so has been...
It's been bad.
Terrible.
I mean, just real bad. Even when I can fall asleep, it's garbage sleep. And there was one night, I mean, and I've done everything. I've taken ZQuil, I've stretched before bed, I've meditated, I've reduced the stress, I've done the blue blockers, I've done just anything and anything and everything you could think of. I've probably tried it, and it just, nothing touched it for some reason. What normally would knock me the hell out to sleep, drug wise or whatever, just never worked. And I remember after so many frustrating nights of waking up and almost stomping out of the bedroom just because I was exhausted but could not fall asleep, I started developing anxiety around it. 10:15 would roll around and I'm like, I need to start going to bed or getting ready for bed. I would have this anxiety start building up. I'd look at the bedroom and I would get a little more anxious. And I was like, what the hell is this? I've never felt this before. And I think it was just the level of stress that was around, because we haven't been every other Sunday now for a while with the content. It's been maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It hasn't even been a month yet, I don't think. And regardless, there was one night, maybe a week ago, that I was like, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm going to be tired. That's what it's going to be. I'm going to be tired. Okay, I'm going to be tired. So I was like, well, I'm just going to stay up because I can't sleep. And something about that shifted that night. I think I still slept like shit, but in my head, there was such a hard switch. And I remember the next day, I was like, yep, I'm tired. Okay. For some reason, that following night, I slept better. And I think it was such a level of acceptance of all right, bro, I get it, all right? The anxiety had become worse than the exhaustion. And I haven't had a sleepless night since. Granted, I've been taking ZMA, I've been taking some supplements and whatnot to help me sleep, and now I'm actually in a very regular training routine and whatnot. I'm exerting myself more physically. That was around the same exact time frame that I was like, fuck it, I'm getting up every morning. I don't care if I'm tired. I'm just gonna go. It was a very intentional decision, but the whole point in saying all that was there's such a gift of acceptance that you can give yourself if you just start to accept it and be like, this is what it's gonna be, and then just learn to deal with that or cope with that, or how do you make it better? The anxiety that you experience can start to dissipate. Mm-hmm. And as you were saying that about the depression, that's what it reminded me of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something that I say to myself often that motivates me to do things when I really don't want to do them.
Like what?
I mean, just anything. I've really tried to not put myself last. I think that's a common thing, is you'd be willing to do all sorts of things regardless of how absurd they are for other people that you love, but you would never think about doing it for yourself.
True.
And saying the thing to myself of tomorrow Jenna's going to be disappointed that you didn't do that today.
Ooh, I like that.
Don't leave that for tomorrow, Jenna. Tomorrow, Jenna's not going to appreciate that.
I like that.
And it's just for little things, or it's for, bigger things like working out in the morning or going for a walk, or
which you've been
whatever.
doing that lately.
Yeah. And, many tomorrow Jennas from now, I'm going to be glad I'll see those results and be glad physically and mentally that I've kept that up. Yeah. And I think changing your mindset of doing things for yourself is not selfish.
Correct. Well, I'm going to take that back. Selfish is a good thing. Go ahead.
It is. And I think that's a whole other podcast we can get into.
I agree.
Of, the prize is who can be the most selfless, and you lose yourself.
You do. I think selfish is actually selfless, because if you aren't good for yourself, you're not good for anyone else.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's a whole podcast right there.
Yeah. But, I would do things for you or for the dogs or whatever, and then save the one thing that I was like, I should really do that or whatever. I would save it for the next day. And then, tomorrow Jenna's annoyed with today, Jenna.
Like what?
I mean, just simple stuff. I mean, it's literally as simple as, putting the laundry away from the dryer, because now I'll have to do that in the morning to have unwrinkled, clean clothes.
Got it.
Or, stopping at the grocery store because there's something that we need and we're completely out of, or whatever it is, getting gas the night before instead of on your way to work. Because I think all of our tomorrow selves have all been upset about that decision.
I'll get it tomorrow morning, the following morning. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
And wrestling with today Jenna versus tomorrow Jenna, and not disappointing my tomorrow self. That's been one of my focuses.
I like that.
Is thinking more about what I would want.
I like that.
And working on it today.
I like that. Let's talk about some good shit that's been happening though. Let's talk about I'm very excited. What a perfect time to plug. I'm very, very excited about the 30-day full body group challenge. It's done so well over on the main Matt Lane Fitness YouTube channel. I talked about it. I talked about, I'm running a business, yet I haven't really been focused on the income of the business, which is a little ridiculous. But I guess I got so wrapped up in creating content and connecting and not coming off like a douchebag that I sort of backed off of the actual sales portion of it. Plus, sales scared me. I didn't want to be the douchebag that, I didn't want to be the next shirtless guy that was like, come buy my program, come do it. But I've learned through talking with friends and some people that I look at as mentors and you, that if I have the ability to start making money from this, I can actually impact more, do more, affect more people. And I'm very excited that something that I have been working on for literally 4 years now has a name. It now has a intention, what it's done for many people now, but now in a group fashion. I guess the first time that it was actually launched, out of the 11 people, 10 of those people, they saw incredible results. And you know what? Let me do it. I got this list. I want to read some stuff off real quick.
I took my headphones off because it's squeezing my ears.
That's fine. Where's that piece of paper that's sitting here?
The one that the dogs have chewed up?
Yeah.
It's on your desk. That's our life, folks. How we identify things is how chewed up it is by the dogs.
Pretty much. And that's it right there. No, I want to talk about what happened with them, because it's one thing to be like, it's a great program, come check it out. But there were many things that these people did, and I was super happy for them. One person gained calorie awareness. One person lost 6 pounds, another 8, another 12. Somebody gained nutritional awareness. Somebody no longer has any more back pain. One person that had a surgery in their chest, they had a lot of tension and pain. They no longer have it. Increased confidence, body's ability has improved. No longer hates training. Went from the ability to do 10 push-ups to 35 push-ups in one sitting, and that was in 3 weeks. Somebody lost 4 pant sizes. Somebody did MyFitnessPal every single day for 30 days. Somebody started going to therapy because of it. Somebody did 50 push-ups in a row, which they had never done in their life. A handful of people made content about their journey. One person proved the youngins wrong. One had a life-changing event happen, and they still went through the program. One did more than one, did every single training session that I provided. And one worked through an injury. There was many, many more things like that, but I took note of what these people did, and it just felt so damn good to be on the opposite side of it and to watch the growth of those people. 4 of them plus one more person went on to my 60-day full body group challenge, and I'm starting another one January 4th. And ultimately, it's going to be weekly Zoom calls, and it's worked really, really well. I knew it would. it was a theory up until this point. And I'm just so damn excited for those people. And I'm excited for you to join. So if you want to do it, January 4th, it's popping off. I have a prep week. So if you want to join now, there's a link in the description below. 30-day full body group challenge. It's actually in the description of every single video that you'll see me put out. Basically all of my social media platforms, but I'm excited about it. It is going to be the way that I run probably 90% of my business. And it is a big, big push of 2021 for what I'm going to do. I have plans to launch one every single month. And it's basically a group of 5 to 15 people. And I'm just very, very excited. I'm creating marketing content. It feels correct. And I remember when I first started as a trainer, it felt kind of dirty and I didn't like sales, but I've done it the correct way and I'm very happy about it. I'm happy about the balanced time that we now have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm happy for sure. I'm happy with you. I'm happy with what we're doing. And I feel like everything that we're doing is adding up to creating a happier life while also benefiting many other people, which is, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that felt good.
Yeah, I think it's a good
stopping point. Agreed. Because we're about to hop on a live stream.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate you sliding by. I love you so much. By the way, there's a video version of this. If you are listening to this, check out the BTYE podcast on YouTube. There's a link in the description below if you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere. You can watch this if you're feeling squirrely.
And if you're watching it and tired of looking at our faces, you can catch us on pretty much any podcast platform you would like to
that's correct.
find us on.
Look at you plugging over there, you guys. We love you. And we'll talk to you next week.
This has been the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. We want to thank you for listening and invite you to subscribe to the show as well. And follow Matt Lane Fitness on YouTube. Until next time, you don't have to be perfect. Just be better than yesterday, every day.
What?
Somebody in the 60-day full body group challenge has now lost a total of 50.4 pounds.
Wow.
Granted, they did start working a little bit before, but about in 2.5 months.
Wow.
Holy crap.